Auston Matthews, the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, is facing a season full of uncertainties. After sustaining an upper body injury that began troubling him during the preseason, the star player is unsure if he can fully recover by the end of the campaign. This, of course, raises significant questions. How will the Leafs handle his prolonged absence? What impact will this have in the coming months? I hope so. That's obviously the goal, Matthews said regarding the possibility of overcoming the injury. But sometimes it's complicated. Hockey is a physical sport full of contact, and things beyond our control can happen. The important thing is to manage it as best as possible. These words reflect the difficult reality faced by both the player and the team. Matthews has already missed 15 games this season, including the last 6 consecutively. The injury was aggravated by a cross-check from Buffalo Sabres defenseman Dennis Gilbert during a game in December. Since then, Matthews has been dealing with pain, discomfort, and challenges in his recovery process. With the Four Nations Face-Off tournament approaching, featuring Canada, the USA, Sweden, and Finland, Matthews' situation brings another question. Will he be fit to represent the United States? The event begins on February 12th, but there are no guarantees that Matthews will be in playing condition by then. Would it be wise for the Leafs to release him, or would it be better to focus entirely on his recovery? What would you do if you were the team? On Wednesday, Matthews participated in practice at the Ford Performance Center, but with restrictions. He wore a gray jersey, typically reserved for inactive players. Despite this, he expressed optimism. It's always frustrating not to play, but I'm trying to stay close to my teammates and make the most of practices. It's an important step when you've been out for so long. Craig Berube, the Leafs interim coach, also shared his perspective. He's heading in the right direction, which is great. We don't have an exact timeline, but it's amazing to have him around. When he's ready, we'll know. Meanwhile, the team continues adjusting its lineup without Matthews. Pontus Holmberg, another player affected by a recent illness, is being evaluated for a return, while Oliver Ekman-Larsson has resumed training and is expected to be available for the next game against the New York Islanders. Matthews' absence places pressure on other players to step up their performances. However, his presence at practices, even in a limited capacity, positively impacts team morale. Will Matthews return to full form before the Four Nations face off? Or should his priority be solely to help the Leafs this season? The Toronto Maple Leafs, in search of crucial reinforcements ahead of the NHL trade deadline, received a bold suggestion, targeting the talented center Mika Zibanejad from the New York Rangers. This idea, supported by Nick Alberg of the Leafs Nation, has reignited discussions on how Toronto can strengthen its offensive depth while navigating salary cap challenges. But can this dream really become a reality? At 31 years old, Zibanejad is an experienced center known for his clutch performances. Despite facing a below-average season with just 6 goals and 15 assists in 36 games, he remains a valuable asset, especially when the focus shifts to the postseason. The Swedish player has accumulated 63 points in 74 playoff games, proving he can be a game-changer in high-pressure scenarios. He's big, dynamic, and doesn't disappear in the playoffs, Alberga highlighted. Additionally, his ability to adapt to the needs of a second offensive line makes him an ideal option for the Leafs, potentially shifting John Tavares to the third line during the playoffs. As appealing as this trade seems, it wouldn't be simple. Zibanejad is in the third year of an 8-year, $68 million contract with a no-move clause NMC. However, according to David Pagnotta of the Fourth Period, the player might be willing to waive this clause for the right environment. Could Toronto be that place? Another significant challenge is the salary cap. Currently, the Leafs have only $1.3 million in available cap space, making a trade of this magnitude incredibly difficult. As Alberga pointed out, From a pure salary cap perspective, a deal of this size would be hard to finalize mid-season. But stranger things have happened. If the Rangers decide to trade Zibanejad, it would further reflect a disappointing season. The team has already moved former captain Jacob Trouba and Capo Kakko, signaling that significant changes are underway. For Toronto, Zibanejad could be the missing piece to boost their playoff competitiveness. However, for this to happen, the Leafs would need to make strategic moves to clear cap space. This means other players might be involved in the deal, potentially altering the team's current dynamics. Does this trade make sense for the Toronto Maple Leafs? Do you believe Mika Zibanejad could be the missing piece to take the team to the next level? Or should the Leafs focus on more realistic options within their current cap space? This season has brought significant challenges for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the cases of Auston Matthews and Mika Zibanejad highlight two crucial points: the need for careful planning and the pursuit of impactful reinforcements. Let's break it down. Regarding Matthews, it's impossible to ignore how his injury affects the team's performance and balance. He is the captain, the emotional engine of the Leafs. His absence is felt both on the ice and in the locker room. The question remains, how much is it worth risking his health for international tournaments, especially in such a critical year for the team? Prudence must prevail. Protecting Matthews to ensure his contribution for the rest of the season seems like a wise decision. As for Zibanejad, I see the suggestion as intriguing but fraught with difficulties. Yes, he is a player with the experience and skills to make a difference. However, the financial impact of such a trade cannot be ignored. With tight cap space, the Leafs would have to give up key pieces to make this acquisition possible. This might bring short-term benefits, but could destabilize the roster in the long term. In the end, Toronto needs more than big names. It needs a plan that ensures health, consistency, and the ability to compete at the highest level. Matthews should be the priority this season, and any move involving Zibanejad should be carefully evaluated to avoid compromising the team's future. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think the Leafs should prioritize Matthews' health and keep him out of international tournaments? Or should the captain try to return as soon as possible? And regarding Zibanejad, should Toronto take a bold trade risk for him despite the financial challenges involved? Leave your comment below with your thoughts. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications to keep up with all the Leafs updates. Your participation is what makes our community so special.